Well, there we go, friends. I think we are live, wouldn't you say? Sounds working. So, we are going to get started. I hope you can see and follow everything along from over there. For those of you who are watching, my name is Toby. I am 41 years old and I train to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to get between 7 and 9 hours in the night. I do so by minding what I eat. I try to eat within my energy balance. And I do so by showing up for some training. I show up for some training um, almost every day. I show up for mobility training, for kettlebell strength, kettlebell conditioning, endurance training, all kinds of different things to stay fit and stay healthy, both physically and mentally. This is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I would like to feel fit, capable, and competent for living. And if that's something that you're interested in, then we can actually work together and try to get fit and healthy together. My tool of choice, as you can see here, is the kettlebell. I find them quite versatile. I find them easy to take along when I travel up into places with beautiful views like this, and I enjoy just having them, the range of motion and different activities that I can do with them. Today we're going to do a kettlebell for beginners. So we're going to actually just go through some of the basic motions, and we're going to use an every minute on the minute format. And in that format, we're just going to do deadlifts, we're going to do squats, we're going to do rows, we're going to do overhead presses, we're going to do everything two-handed first, and then after we've gone through that sequence, I'm going to finish off with a couple of more advanced movements to show you what that can look like in the future. But for the beginning, the first 15-20 minutes, we're just going to take it easy and have fun. And I like to mix push-ups into there as well, simply because they're a great exercise to have as a part of our workout. Now, it's 6:36 a.m. here in the mountains. I'm in between two clouds, so I'm going to get started with the workout, and let's hope that I'm done before the rain starts. So, for those of you who are watching, the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So let's get started, all right? We're going to start off with some jumping jacks, just warming up for about 30 seconds there. Nothing crazy, just easing into a workout. There we go. That's 30 minutes, 30 seconds. And we're going to warm up while we work out as well. I've got a 12 kilo and an 8 kilo. You can use either weight. I'm going to be using the 12 kilo. For the first exercise we're doing is a deadlift. Deadlift is a hip hinge. We drive it from the hips. We make sure that we're hinging at the hips. We're not squatting down. We're driving the hips back and forward. And in that motion, everything else changes. The knees stay behind the toes. And just repeat that 10 times. All right? Relatively simple and straightforward. This is not a very difficult exercise. If you're used to doing deadlifts in the gym, or have ever learned them. Okay? The next one we're going to do is for the upper body. I'm going to do a row. I'm going to start on the right hand side. And what you're going to do, two-handed, yeah. So you're just going to pull the kettlebell up to your chest, right to the bottom of your sternum. You're going to try to hold this position, which is, if you look carefully, base starting position of the deadlift. And you're just going to activate those back muscles. Try to keep that spine neutral and just lift it up to your chest 10 times. And we always start with a light weight, so 8, 6, or 4. Yeah. Once you've had those, I'm going to move into a goblet squat. Just going to bring the goblet bottom up, and we're going to ease on and straight up. Now compared to the deadlift, the goblet squat is obviously a movement that is knee dominant. You can see moving up and down in a different line than the deadlift, where the deadlift hinges the hips. The goblet squat brings the knees into full range of motion. And then finally, we're going to do the overhead presses. For the overhead press, it's important that you tighten or tuck in that tailbone, squeeze the glutes and the quads, keep that spine neutral, tuck that chin in, drive straight up and back down, and 10. And we're going to repeat that cycle a couple of times. Now, we can do all of these exercises one-sided as well. But since we're working on beginners today, we're going to work in everything two-handed. Okay? Deadlift. And we'll just add into this mix the push-ups, just for fun, okay? We're going to do 10 as well, 10 of the basic push-ups right after the deadlift. Oh, it's nice. Everything's nice and wet from last night's rain, so we're having a good time. Okay, let's demonstrate the kettlebell row. Two-handed. Bit of a sideways view here. Okay, and you'll see that the starting position is the same starting position here as the kettlebell between our feet, but this time we're not deadlifting. This time we are rowing. We're using the muscles in our back. To pull the weight up, keeping that spine neutral, just working out nice and easy. Okay, then we'll do a sideways view of the goblet squat as well, so you can see the difference with the deadlift. Like I said, the deadlift hinges, the goblet squat goes down, up. And final exercise in that circuit is going to be the overhead press, two-handed, and we're just going to press the goblet, the kettlebell, overhead. No biggie. 6:45 in the morning. We're 10 minutes into this routine. As you can see, fixing the base, glutes, legs, core, tucking in the chin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're going to be back to the deadlifts. Now the thing about kettlebells is that we build up over time, okay? So we take our time. We're never in a rush. We just very simply, very quickly, and very easily learn the basic moves. And we build that strong foundation simply by going through the basics. I still do all of these exercises regularly to make sure that I am training all of the muscles, all of the large muscle groups in my body properly. And this is simply a full body workout. Easy, straight to the point, and with proper technique and a lightweight, everyone can go through these motions. Easy peasy, Japanesey. Sorry, that's not very inclusive. Easy peasy, real easy. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the row. Again, let's get a good view in starting position, neutral spine, row. Really use those muscles at the back. This might feel somewhat easy for you. That's fine, because you'll have chances later on as you grow more advanced with heavier weights, more repetitions. But right now, all we really want to do is build that basic core strength to help us move properly through all of the exercises, the full range of motion that we're trying to accomplish. The squat, right? Goblet up, slightly different from goblet down. You can hold it closer or a bit further away, depending on how difficult you want the exercises to be. The squats, no matter the weight, they'll always get your heart rate up. All right? It's a good day to be in the mountains. It's a nice morning. Okay. Overhead press. Fix the base. Up. Okay. Now, one more circuit. Okay. Then we're gonna try to do some swings, kettlebell swings. But if that doesn't work, we just keep doing the same circuit, which is deadlift. Nice and easy. Okay. Deadlift. And you'll see how the deadlift leads into a swing in a moment, a couple of minutes. Okay. Now we're going to be done for today. Like I said, nice and easy. Nothing crazy. We're just here for a fun morning workout. In a moment, I'm going to show you the snatch, and I'm going to help you understand how the different movements actually will build up to those kinds of exercises. Okay? Because it's important to understand the logic of kettlebelling I'm building a strong foundation in order to do all of the more difficult things over time. Because everything builds upon each other. First, I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to show you what the kettlebell swing looks like. Show you the two-handed swing, which I have tutorials on my channel as well, if you'd want to learn it properly. But just to give you an idea of why all of these movements work together. Hoo-ha. And then the overhead press. Okay. The foundation for the swing lies in the deadlift, but it also requires strong back, good posture, neutral spine, solid movement patterns in order to actually succeed. In order to succeed. All right, that's basic training. 5 sets or 4 sets of this. You can do 5 or 6. Move it up to 30 minutes if you want. Not an issue, yeah. But you could also just say, oh, that's good 20 minutes. I'm done for the day. Now, the kettlebell swing starts in a deadlift position, but the kettlebell is positioned slightly away from us. We need to hike it up, yeah. And once we hike it up, we complete the deadlift pattern. See that? Thrusting the hip forward. And the momentum of my hips is what drives the kettlebell up in the air. Okay? So I'm not pulling with my arms. Okay? And you can tell if the weight is too heavy if you cannot hold this position. Yeah? Or if you're having a hard time creating the momentum to bring the kettlebell forward. There's nothing wrong with starting with a lighter weight. I think I learned it with a 4 and a 6 kilos before we get the hang of the motion. Neutral spine, but starting position. You can feel the tension. My hamstrings, glutes, quads. Tighten those back muscles like you would in that row, and you swing. This is an easy exercise if you do it wrong or too heavy to put out your back. So learn the technique, get comfortable with that deadlift, okay? And then you start very easily with 5, either continuous or I'll demonstrate again. Right? or a start stop pattern where you can learn how to properly set the tension in your body and then hike them up. And just do. Isn't that a beautiful sound? 7 a.m. Now if that doesn't wake you up at 7, I don't know what would. Okay, so we're gonna do 5 continuous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, you start off here at the bottom in this deadlift position. Hike up, swing at the top. This is a plank. The glutes are squeezed, pulling up my kneecaps. Core, plank, weight, and let the weight of the kettlebell swing me down. Okay? And I will explain that again in a moment. So, like I said, at the bottom and at the top, you have this range of motion that starts in this deadlift position. Hike, thrust, let the momentum of the thrust carry the weight up here for a moment. The kettlebell is weightless and my body is a plank, squeezing the glutes, pulling up the kneecaps tight, and then I let the weight of the kettlebell carry it down and forward again. You can even do it with just your hands. You can see how the hands just shoot up. All right, so there we've done all the basics. All right, we've done a deadlift, we've done a push-up, we've done a row, we've done a squat, and we've done a swing. Now I'll show you how this starts to work together, all right, in what they call the king of kettlebell exercises, which is snatch. And if you've never done the snatch before, I suggest you don't do it today. All right, this is just a demonstration, so you can see where you can get the full body exercise here. You also see I'm switching to a lighter weight, okay? And the snatch starts with a swing, okay? But it's one-handed. Let me demonstrate like this. All right, you'll see a one-handed swing right there. That swing turns in to a clean, but not for the snatch, but as a part of the motion of catching and getting the weight ballistically into a different position. That snatch or that clean turns into an overhead press, which comes back down, right? And that motion in the end becomes a direct line to overhead, which is a snatch. But all of those exercises you've just seen demonstrated in part, right? Swing, all right. Swing to a clean, which is the first ballistic movement that gets the kettlebell up here. This becomes a press, right? So you get a swing, clean, press, yeah. And then from that press, you can learn to drop it down and get there. Press, right? Until you get the hang of the motion and the snatch goes up, overhead. The snatch is one that I'm still mastering, learning. I prefer to do it with a lighter weight and actually a competition kettlebell. But nevertheless, it's a great exercise to add to the repertoire, and especially the end part of it, which is why the snatch, why the clean is so important, because for the snatch, you need to learn how to rack and receive the kettlebell properly onto that triangle on both sides. Because once it goes overhead, you don't want it to be bouncing on your joint all the time. You want it to be comfortably resting on your arm. Anyway, 29 minutes in. That's all I have for you this morning. I've still got a whole day of hiking ahead of me. I appreciate you dropping by, saying hi. For those of you who are watching, hit like and subscribe, alright? I'll start doing basic kettlebell every Wednesday. So we'll go through the basics, talk about techniques, slowly build up that base of strength over the course of 3 months, and then get started with some of the heavier variations and different programs that you see me doing on Fridays and Mondays, but Wednesdays, here we are, we're it. This is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I would like to feel fit, capable, and competent for a living. If that's something you're interested in, go ahead, check out my channel, and we can continue this conversation, alright? Thanks for dropping by, friends. Thanks for saying hi. Remember, you're good just the way you are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. This person we are today is going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. So a bit of kindness is going to go a long way. There are enough people out there who want to put us down, so we lift ourselves up. And the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. Hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video. Subscribe.